It is time to run the gauntlet and update my Championship 1 to 24 predictions. We're going back and referencing my thoughts from before a ball was kicked. We have reviewed, updated in September, October, November. We couldn't do it in December because there was no international break. But FA Cup third round weekend gives us a chance to do it right now. Since we last did this in November, Burnley have been the best side in the league points-wise, and QPR have surprised us. They are the third best side. And Plymouth have been the worst side in the division. Millwall, who are in good form going into the November international break, have not been in such good form since. That is what I came up with as my predicted final table in November. And you can pause that, or you can go back and watch the last updated 1 to 24 predictions video. But we have work to do, and we will start at the bottom here with, in 24th place, Plymouth Argyle. You'll understand, I've dropped them down one place since November. Manager sacked. They need a really, really good January window and a new manager bounce to get themselves off the bottom of the table where they currently reside. In 23rd, I've gone for Portsmouth. That does represent a move off the bottom. I had them bottom for October and November, but they've not been bad over, 12, 14 games. They're over the point per game, which is just a really horrible start. So, honestly, they could move up and out of it, but right now, I'm going to leave them in 23rd. They're actually 21st in the table. It is super, super tight down there with three teams tied at 23 points. One of them is Cardiff, who I've got in 22nd place. So right now, I'm predicting Cardiff to drop. I've had them there or thereabouts most of the season. We thought they'd got the kind of bounce with Omar Reitzer, and then kind of he got the job full time, and it's dropped off a bit since. I know there's been a couple of decent results, but will the owners go in January? They don't tend to, do they? At Cardiff, a lot of complaints from Cardiff fans about not supporting managers. Why would it be any different now? Let's go for Cardiff in 22nd, which represents a drop of one place, but the most significant drop you can get in the, well, maybe second to third, but 21st to 22nd is a pretty big drop. Right, I've got Oxford in 21st. I know we'll get Oxford fans who are high on life at the moment with Gary Rowett's amazing new manager bounce. That does only represent 4 games. So they're probably... look, don't get me wrong. I'll happily come on here at the end of the season if Gary Rowett has pumped out 2 points per game and Oxford have finished in 8th or whatever by the end of the season. But it's more likely that this will, be a big peak and it'll start to get difficult again. But, look, last 2 times we've done this, November and now in January, I've got Oxford surviving. They're currently 17th. They've got a 5-point cushion as well. So they are looking good to survive. So I've got them, I've had them drop 1 place, and that does represent the fact that this is 2 months of information rather than 4 games, and the fact that maybe there's some other teams below Oxford in the table right now who we are expecting climbs from. Derby County, I've got in 20th, and there's a bit of a lag on this because, look, Derby are currently 18th. That's where I said in November. I've got them in 20th now. Maybe they will be 20th the next time we do this. I don't know, but I've had Derby surviving all season. I think the best they could hope for is, scoring a load of points at home and scoring a load of set play goals and being halfway up. It's looked like that, but they are capable of a losing run, aren't they, Derby, as well? So I've got them 2 places lower than they currently are. I've got them 20th. They're currently 18th, which is also the same drop I've done from November to January as well, if that makes sense. Preston, I'm a little bit confused. They're 15th in the table. And Paul Heckenwamp's done a good job, to be fair, of stabilising that. But I'm anticipating a bit of a regression to the mean. And again, I'm anticipating a couple of teams who are lower. And we obviously haven't mentioned them yet. So you can see I've got a couple of climbers from the bottom 5 coming a bit higher. So I'm going to stick with Preston at 19th. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair, but it's just an easy way out for me. You can see I've done it October, November and January. 19th all the way. I'll eat my humble pie if they're higher than that. Luton. I'm having to eat a lot of humble pie about Luton because look at that. I thought they'd be 3rd. They're a Year 1 parachute team, freshly relegated from the Premier League. get back again, get into the playoffs at least. But no, it's been terrible, hasn't it? So I'm trying to track this as we go. Look, I've gone 3rd, 8th, 11th, 16th, 18th right now. Luton are 20th in the Championship. I still think there's enough in that squad for them to, put playoff form in for 10 or 12 games or what have you and shoot up the table. But we don't know who the new manager's going to be. There's going to have to be some kind of bounce there. And I'm just trying to track this so I'm not, doing a big arc and then following it all the way back up as well. So I'll go Luton 18th, and that kind of explains away, maybe the prediction for Oxford and Preston as well. Stoke. I mean, what can you do with Stoke other than shrug your shoulders? They're currently 19th. Since we last did this, the Narcissus Pelak experiment has fallen flat on its face. Yes, there's a temptation to think, Mark Robins is good, isn't he? And Stoke will shoot up the table. But we've been burned too many times before with Stoke. And Mark Robins was a big slow burn at Coventry. So I've got them 2 places higher than they are right now in the table. And I'm holding at 17th with Stoke. And Hull are another of the teams that maybe are dragging a few teams lower than you'd expect me to have them. I think Hull's squad is way better than the 22nd position that they are in right now. So I'm going to put Hull in 16th. You can see I've struggled badly to track this. I had 8th pre-season and then the Tim Volta thing didn't work. Although you can see in October, I thought, is this starting to work now? No, they completely bottomed out, didn't they? And I think they're going to push up under Ruben Sellers. And I think they're going to end up in 16th. But hey, this is tricky. Oh, God. And speaking of tricky, there's QPR. And dare I say, I might turn out to be right all along with that 11th there. And you saw at the start of the video, QPR have been the 3rd best team in the league since we did this in November. So my kind of acceptance that maybe I'd got Cifuentes wrong down there, dropping them from 11th all the way to 22nd. I had to do it in the end. They're in the relegation zone. Maybe I should have just held firm and stuck with 11th because they are currently 13th. They might even finish higher than 11th. And Cifuentes was good after all, apparently. So yeah, I've put them back up to 15th. I think they'll be higher than that. But again, I don't want to be chasing my tail massively here. So I'm just splitting the difference a little bit. I'm sure you'll understand, Rangers fans. In 14th, I've got Coventry, who are currently 16th in the league. I think maybe we'll get a little splurge in the last 5 or 6 games. Lampard's football will start to get into their brains and maybe, you get some soft mid-table opponents towards the, after Easter, towards the final games. You can see, I thought Coventry's squad with Mark Robins was a top 6, a playoff, a home leg second playoff team as well. But it's all gone to hell in a handbasket a little bit this season. I think they'll come back around, and I've got that ending up at 14th. Again, I've held on Coventry. By the way, I'm sure I'm going to get some accusations of holding too much, but we are now at that point in the season where you've got a fair read on teams, and it is sensible sometimes to just leave them right where they are and let things flow. Look, we got it. You got enough ammunition to attack me with there. Put it that way. Millwall. So this has been a tough one to do as well because Millwall into November were trending right up under Neil Harris. Neil Harris has gone. Alex Neil is in. Millwall are currently 14th. So I've dropped them down 3 into 13th, which is 1 place higher than they are now because I think Alex Neil will give good initial energy and he knows this league well. And, with whatever he has, he'll be able to get results. And Millwall's squad has always been pretty competitive, not necessarily in terms of the top 6 in the parachute teams, but, a lot of people have got a lot of tunes out of that squad. So I'll go for Millwall to be 1 place higher than they are now under Alex Neil. Into the top half, I've got Swansea, and I've got Swansea for the first time this season. Look, I've had them gradually climb up since 19th. Maybe if we'd add this Luke Williams to West Brom thing that looked like it might be happening, I'd be changing my mind here. But the thing with Swansea is, do I think they're going to finish in the top 10? Probably not. But do I think they're going to win enough games? They can pull out wins. Their floor is high enough that I think the wins will come. And I think they can stay in the top half. They are currently 12th in the table, and I've got them finishing right there in 12th. Blackburn. So Blackburn are the reverse Luton. So Luton are the team I thought would be right at the top, who are right down the bottom. Blackburn are the team I thought would be right down the bottom, who for a lot of the season have been right up the top. So apologies, John Eustace. I assumed that after a pretty bad trend down towards the end of last season and selling the top scorer in the entire division, whose goals kept them up, that they'd struggle. No, John Eustace has done a really, really great job. But they are on a bad run. They're seventh, but it's a poor run currently. They've been making some moves in the January transfer window, I have to say. All I've got to try and do, Blackburn fans, is try and hit this nail on in the middle, haven't I? Not overshoot it. So I'll stick it 11th. Maybe we'll meet in the middle, 9th by the end of the season. I don't know. I'm sure you lot will love me to be wrong and you guys to be in the playoffs. We will see. Sheffield Wednesday, I'm fairly happy with that. I said 10th at the start of the season. They're currently 10th and it's gone 10th, 12th, 10th, 11th, 10th. In that video I did, you can check that back, who's got the nicest run of fixtures going into Christmas. We decided it was Sheffield Wednesday. So we always know that a nice run of fixtures, by definition, with league tables being hierarchies, has to be followed by a trickier run of fixtures. Maybe a bit of a regression to the mean. They could end up higher than 10th, but I'm quite happy to, throw my cards in on my pre-season prediction because if you stop the clocks right now, I'm going to be right. Watford. Confusing. Yeah, I thought Watford would struggle. And then they had such a prolonged good start to the season all the way into November that I'd bump them up and up and up and up. And obviously, sod's law, since I've done that, wheels have fallen off a little bit. I don't know if that's the right, fair terminology to use there. And the home record's gone now. You always worry with teams that are exponentially better at home than they are away because you think, if they start drawing a few home games, where are the wins? And that's what Watford are doing at the moment. So they are 9th in the table at the moment. I said 8th last time. I've dropped them to 9th this time. And yeah, we will see if there's going to be more fluctuations where it comes to Watford. Norwich are currently 11th. I said last time 7th. I've been quite hot on Norwich. I do just like their squad. And I do feel there's a sense that Torup, the manager, is going to improve. And I think if they can just get Sargent on the pitch, easier said than done, along with Sainz, I think there's a good squad there. And I think they're going to invest as well in January. What I will say about Sainz, he's banned for 6 games and he's been carrying them at points during the season. So maybe there'll be a little drop off from what I thought, which was 7th. So I've dropped them down to 8th. But they're 11th right now. So I've still got Norwich rising up the table and finishing just outside the playoffs. And speaking of just outside the playoffs, look, some confirmation bias there from me. Bristol City are 8th. But at the start of the season, I got a lot of flack for this. I had them 7th. Look, I panicked a little bit, but I've put them back to where I initially had them. I was going to say a bit like Sheffield Wednesday, but it's not really because I didn't panic so much with Sheffield Wednesday. Bristol City are on the back of a good run, easy for me to say. And I think a lot of people are saying, who have they beaten recently, Ben? Is this recency bias and confirmation bias? Probably. But I'll try and manifest my prediction to be correct and Bristol City to actually hold firm and actually go up a place from where they are right now into 7th. Right. Here come the top 6 in the playoffs. And remember 2 things. There's only 20 games to go, so we're getting wiser about the division. And remember, the teams at the top are a lot more consistent than the teams further down. So all I'll say as we go into the top 6, where I'm going to hold firm on West Brom. Now, this is like the worst possible time because Corberon's gone, and there's every chance a lot of people would drop West Brom now out of the playoffs because of no Corberon. Fine. I get that. We don't know who the new manager is just yet. It's not been confirmed at time of recording. So I'm going to leave West Brom right where they are in 6th, mainly on the basis, and you answer me in the comments, who's got a better squad? Who's going to come through and go past that very experienced, strong, old West Brom squad? I'm also going to hold on Middlesbrough in 5th, where they currently are, where I said 2 months ago they'd end up, and where at the start of the season I said they would be. In fact, there was quite a few comments when I think they were languishing a bit, weren't they? Saying, come on, Ben, when are you going to move on Middlesbrough? They're not as good as you think they are. Hang in there sometimes. And the issue with Middlesbrough is they are 9 points behind Sunderland. So I don't know what to tell you in terms of me moving people around. And Middlesbrough going to catch Sunderland, make up 9 points? I doubt it. So I'm leaving them in 5th. And I've got Sunderland in 4th. Now, Sunderland fans get a bit prickly about this. I think they, they really want to be included in the automatic promotion conversation. And me saying they're going to finish, right where they are is not excluding them from the automatic promotion conversation. It's just saying they're up against 3 parachute teams who've got, loads of quality in the squad. There might be moves in January, etc., etc. And I think if Sunderland do finish 4th, I don't think Sunderland fans, you should be going, why aren't you saying we're going to finish 3rd or 2nd? You should be going, this has been a terrific achievement by Régis Le Bris. And that accumulation of young players, a lot from abroad, etc., has started to pay dividends, hasn't it? So Sunderland, look, pre-season, I said 15th, and I've gradually gone up and up and up and up and up and up. But I don't think they're going to have enough to get past the 3 parachute teams above them. I am not going to hold... Well, I am going to hold on Burnley in 3rd, which means I have got someone in a different position than where they are currently in the league table. So this has been my difficult one, whether to put Burnley up into the top 2. I'm not going to do it just yet. I might. Look, I'm not unhappy with... look at that, guys. I said 2nd at the start of the season. They're currently 2nd. And the most I've gone out is 3rd. And that's where I've got them right now. So I've covered my bases here with Burnley and done all right. My contention is, look, could Burnley finish 2nd? Could they finish? I doubt they'll finish 1st. But could they finish 2nd? Yeah, of course they could. Yeah, they've got loads of quality. And the manager knows the course, despite a lot of scepticism about Scott Parker. I just feel that Burnley, with the classic Scott Parker thing, it doesn't always look convincing. And they are predicated on the most ungodly good defensive record. And law of averages, surely someone's going to score some goals past them sooner or later. If not, they're definitely going to finish in the top 2. But can they go the whole season with such a good defensive record? And with that outrageously and magnificent defensive record, they're only 2nd on goal difference against a team that's had a 2-point deduction as well. So any little slip there, and they drop out of it for me. So Burnley is the one that I'm not going with the league table on, which means I'm going to hold as well on Sheffield United. Again, I will reiterate, there's only 20 games to go. We're learning a lot. And the teams at the top are more consistent than the teams lower down. I just feel that there's something more, and I could change my mind, but there's something more in terms of the fight and the narrative in the Sheffield United camp than there is in the Burnley camp. I think Chris Wilder's playing a bit of a blinder this season. And I think he's really going to play on we've had loads of injuries, we've played the youth players, all that narrative is, maybe I'm eating it up. Maybe he's fooled me and I'm going to be wrong and I need to swap them and Burnley over. But I've got to be honest and say what I believe. And there just seems something there that he's going to pull, pull a rabbit out of a hat in terms of, being in the top 2. But all the teams that don't have parachute payments will say, yeah, okay, what a rabbit out of a hat. But you know what I'm saying, don't you, that there's been adversity, and a lot of people had them a lot lower, let's just say, than my initial 6th there. So I'm going to keep Sheffield United in 2nd. That's been the most difficult call, Sheffield United and Burnley, because that leaves only one team. And look, I've been very, very consistent that I think Leeds are going to win it. Hey, they could fall apart as the song goes, but right the way through, I've held my nerve on this. And as we sit here right now, Leeds are 1st in the league. There's a lot of underlying metrics that say they're the best team in the league. They could drop down from 1st. That's very Robert De Niro, that wasn't it? Hey, I'm not as handsome as him. I look very silly when I pull that face, but that was my Alan Partridge, hey, moreover, shrug there. That I do think Leeds will hold firm, and I'm going to stay there unless I see some kind of big collapse. I just think there's better balance to the squad. And it's not the freak season it was last year where we get the massive high points total and the kind of unicorn that was Kieran McKenna and Ipswich just disrupting, the orthodoxy of the wealthiest team. So I will stick with Leeds at the top, which does mean, guys, call me boring, but I've just got to call it honest. I have stuck with my entire top 6 from November. So on the one hand, you can call me boring, but on the other hand, you can say I had 5 of the top 6 predicted where they are right now in November. So you can either give me credit or you can slag me off. Look, it's YouTube. Of course you're going to slag me off. That's what happens here. But there you go. That is my updated 1 to 24s. Now, have your say. Get involved in the comments. Please try your best to keep calm. Okay, this is very triggering. If you are an emotionally led tribal football fan, yeah, that's all of you. You may get triggered by me predicting your team to be lower than you want them to be. Try and cope with it. Try and stay calm. Look, those who already know don't need telling, and those who need telling aren't listening. They've already put their angry comment. But I've got to try and have my say on the fact that I think discourse on the internet is crazy, and I also think discourse around football is crazy. But I get it. It's a passionate game. Please, please don't add conspiracies to your analysis of what I've said. If your conclusion to me saying something that you didn't like is that I have an agenda against your team, then I don't know what to tell you, honestly, because it gets very, very tiresome being accused by people who are obsessed with a football team. Their life is literally an agenda pro their team. It's almost like a drunk guy coming up to you when you're sober, accusing you of being drunk. It's like, hang on a minute. Have you looked in the mirror here? Please, as well, if you are going to get in the comments, multivariant analysis needed. It is not good enough to name one team. And let's be fair, it'll be the team you support, because a lot of people, they don't look any further than that. It's not enough to do that. If you move your team, you have to explain to me about other teams. Where would they be? So the best thing to do is have a try yourself. I know I get some white knights in the comments saying, "Oh, Ben, leave these rants out at the end." I'm telling you, if you were sat in this seat, you would try your best to calm the comments down, because they are mental when it comes to these 1 to 24 videos. It's supposed to be a bit of fun. It is a game of stick and twist. Get involved in the comments. That is my updated FA Cup third round January weekend Championship 1 to 24 predictions.